I'm the daughter of the Ghost King, but I woke up as a D-list actress infamous for all the wrong reasons, and now I'm being forced onto a paranormal reality show." The host asked, "I hear you're terrified of ghosts. Are you scared right now?" Honestly, the ghosts are probably more scared of me. I was jolted awake by a cacophony of voices. "Is that Lily, the woman who chased after Best Actor Tom all over the film set? She really does have that homewrecker look." "Totally. Just because she kinda looks like Best Actress Olivia, she's been riding her coattails hard. And now that Olivia's doing this paranormal show, Lily shamelessly tagged along." I opened my eyes and found myself in a makeup room. The two makeup artists doing my makeup were the ones talking. They didn't even bother to lower their voices when they saw I was awake, just shot me a couple of dirty looks. I pieced things together in my head. I'm the daughter of the Ghost King from the underworld. To break through a cultivation bottleneck, I was sent to the human world for training. I possessed the body of a D-list actress named Lily, who was famous for being universally disliked. This Lily was arguably the most hated female celebrity in showbiz. She actually had a very pretty face, with a slight resemblance to Olivia, the youngest Best Actress award winner in the industry. When she first debuted, she was even called Little Olivia. But she signed with an unreliable agency that constantly used her to leech off Olivia's fame. Not only that, she relentlessly pursued Best Actor Tom, even knocking on his hotel room door in the middle of the night. After being caught by the paparazzi, Tom's fans tore her to shreds online, permanently branding her with a scarlet letter. After all that, Lily completely gave up on herself and decided to lean into her bad reputation. And now, the goddess Olivia was gracing a variety show for the first time, a paranormal one called Spirits Around You. And somehow, Lily was also on this show. Then, I arrived. I looked down at the script the production team had given Lily. That's right, the production team didn't just let Lily on the show for nothing. The condition was that she had to play the dumb pretty girl to make Olivia look good. I skimmed the first few pages. Basically, I was supposed to act foolish and arrogant to make Olivia appear smart and humble. I didn't really care about that. Until I got to the last page, which said I had to act terrified of ghosts. Me, scared of ghosts? They'd be lucky if they didn't die of fright when they saw me. After makeup, the show quickly started filming. This episode was being filmed at an abandoned school. This school was a famously haunted spot in S-City. Over 20 years ago, it was a well-known girls' school, but then a student suddenly committed suicide there. No one knew why she did it, but after her death, all sorts of strange things started happening at the school. Eventually, the school relocated. The original site was supposed to be converted into residential buildings, but every time construction started, accidents would happen. Over time, it was just abandoned. I looked up at the school entrance. Ghostly energy swirled above the school. Clearly, there was a powerful, vengeful spirit. This production team was really brave, daring to film here. But it was obvious the crew was a little worried too. As I got closer, I saw a few Taoist priests performing a ritual. When they finished, the head priest, an old man with a flowing white beard, stroked it and confidently told the director, "Don't worry, director. After this ritual, there won't be any evil spirits here. You can film without any problems." The director, his face full of respect, was about to thank him when I suddenly spoke up. "Are you sure about that?" Everyone's eyes snapped to me. The old priest frowned. Where did this young lady come from? He clearly didn't recognize me but was annoyed that someone was questioning his abilities. "I've already performed the ritual. Of course, there won't be any evil spirits here." He was full of himself, but I just lifted my hand and pointed to his shoulder. "Then what's that on your shoulder?" Perched on the old priest's shoulder was a small, infant-like ghost. Its resentment was overwhelming, clearly more powerful than the old priest. Therefore, he couldn't see the infant ghost at all and just snapped at me, "What nonsense are you talking? The show Spirits Around You was live streamed to make it feel more real. Hearing my words, the viewers in the live comments immediately started flaming me. This Lily is disgusting. What's she pretending for? She scared the crap out of me just now. Yeah, he's a respected Taoist master. What's she trying to prove, showing off like that? She's just trying to get screen time. People like her will do anything for fame. I have to admit, the original Lily really was easy to hate. I could feel the resentment from the comments even through the screen. I was wondering why these internet users could have such intense dislike for someone they'd never met when a soft voice suddenly sounded from behind me. Master, please don't be angry. Lily was just joking. I turned to see Olivia. The youngest Golden Horse Award-winning actress, currently the most popular goddess in the entire entertainment industry. Olivia and Lily were about the same age and looked somewhat similar. But Olivia had more of an innocent look, while Lily's face was more strikingly beautiful. Strictly speaking, Lily was actually better looking, but audiences preferred the innocent, harmless type, so Olivia's face was more popular. Olivia looked at me, her voice soft but serious. Lily, I know you want to prove yourself, but we must respect the dead. We should be reverent towards things we don't understand. It sounded like she was trying to advise me, but it was actually a subtle dig, implying I was talking nonsense for attention and disrespecting the dead. The moment Olivia appeared, the live comments exploded. OMG! The goddess is here. So beautiful. Screen licking like crazy. The goddess is so classy, she knows to respect the dead. Totally different from that Lily. Exactly, how can Lily even compare to our goddess Olivia? That's like comparing a pebble to the moon, what a clout chaser. The comments were almost unanimously praising Olivia while viciously dragging me. I just shrugged, unconcerned. Whatever. I wasn't afraid of ghosts anyway. When the ghostly energy hits, it'll be you mortals who suffer. After the ritual, our group prepared to enter the school. To make it more interesting, the production team had arranged a task. They had hidden 3 talismans in 3 different locations in the school. The guests had to find all 3 talismans to get to the rooftop, which would complete the mission. At 9 p.m., the 5 guests, plus 2 cameramen, officially entered the school. As soon as we entered, one of the female guests, named Lucy, started feeling dizzy and nauseous. Her spiritual constitution was too weak, and she couldn't handle the resentful energy in the school. The production team thought she had eaten something bad and had her leave the shoot early. The remaining 6 of us continued into the school. The whole school was gloomy and eerie. The wind rattled through the broken windows, making a hair-raising sound. The other guests were trembling with fear. Only Olivia remained relatively calm and even comforted everyone. If everyone's scared, I can walk in front. The live comments immediately filled with praise like the goddess is so kind. I glanced at Olivia. She carried a strange spiritual energy. It was likely that her family had invited a household deity for protection, which gave her this aura. It was also probably this deity's protection that made her career in the entertainment industry so smooth. However, this household deity's power was mediocre. In front of the resentful ghosts in this school, it was nothing. Our group soon reached a classroom at the end of the 3rd floor. It looks like a lab at the end. Let's go check it out. Michael, who played the host role on the show, spoke up and led everyone forward. But I stopped. Everyone noticed and turned to look at me. Lily, why aren't you moving? I frowned slightly. We can't go into that room. The girl who died back then, she died in there. A cold wind blew past, and I saw the other guests shiver. The live comments paused for a second, then erupted with criticism again. There goes Lily again. Is she addicted to playing the mystic? Exactly. The details of that girl's case were never released. How would she know where the girl died? She's just talking nonsense to get attention. It's disgusting how she's exploiting a tragedy like this. Not only did the commenters think I was talking nonsense, but the guests on the show clearly thought so too. Michael impatiently waved his hand. Alright, Lily, stop messing around. We have a mission. Let's go in. With that, he led everyone inside. I raised an eyebrow. I hadn't finished what I was saying. Not only did that girl die in this classroom, but more importantly, her resentment was so strong she became a bound spirit, and her ghost was still in that classroom. But clearly, no one wanted to hear what I had to say. They were already rushing into the classroom. I followed them in, ready to watch the show. As soon as we entered the classroom, everyone clearly felt the temperature drop by several degrees. One of the guests, a girl named Anna, was the most timid and was about to cry from fear. Is it just me? Or does this classroom feel really cold? Michael, however, waved his hand dismissively. Maybe the production team deliberately turned on the AC in here to scare us. Come on, let's hurry and find the talismans. With that, everyone started searching. Soon, someone shouted. Found one. Hidden in the teacher's desk drawer was a bag containing 7 yellow talismans. Michael immediately called everyone over. Come on, 7 talismans, everyone take one. Lucy isn't here, so there should be one left over. Michael trailed off mid-sentence. There were originally 7 people on the show, so the production team had prepared 7 talismans, one for each person. But because Lucy had left due to feeling unwell, there were only 6 people left, so there should have been 1 talisman remaining. However, all the talismans on the desk had been taken. Michael frowned. Who took an extra talisman? No one answered. Until I spoke calmly, no one took an extra. Everyone looked at me again. I toyed with the talisman in my hand and said calmly, it's because there's an extra person among us. Didn't you see? As I finished speaking, I pointed behind them. They all whipped their heads around and finally saw a girl in a red dress standing behind them. Who knows when she got there? She was clutching a yellow talisman, her hair disheveled, standing silently in the darkness. The surrounding guests hadn't noticed this girl at all before. Now, seeing her after I pointed her out, they all screamed in terror. The girl in front of them was none other than the girl who had died in this classroom. Her death had been too tragic, and her resentment was so strong that she could already manifest physically, visible even to ordinary people without the ghost eyes. Not only did the guests on site see her, but even the audience saw her through the camera. For a moment, the live comments completely exploded. What's going on? When did this girl in red appear among them? I didn't see her at all just now. Is it an NPC actor hired by the production team? But I gotta say, it's actually pretty creepy. Is it really an actor? Why do I feel a chill down my spine through the screen? Something's not right. The commenters were discussing it heatedly, eager to see more. But they wouldn't get the chance. Because the cameraman was already scared out of his wits and had dropped his camera on the ground. Bang! The live stream was cut off. And at the same time, the guests at the scene clearly felt the temperature in the classroom drop even further. That bone-chilling cold. The feeling was so distinct that every guest present knew. This was definitely not something arranged by the production team. They had definitely seen a real ghost. Even Michael, who had been the bravest earlier, couldn't care less anymore and ran like crazy to try and open the door. But the classroom door, which had clearly been opened just moments ago, was now closed, who knows when. Not only that, the door looked dilapidated and impossible to lock, but now it was shut tight and wouldn't budge no matter how hard they tried. Everyone was freaking out, banging on the door frantically. Open the door. Stop playing around. Open the door now. Amidst the hysterical screams, the girl in red slowly moved. Her face was obscured by her scattered hair, only her eyes faintly visible. A pair of blood-red eyes. She slowly walked over, and everyone was so scared they practically plastered themselves against the door. Only I stood my ground, motionless. Seeing me like this, everyone thought I was scared stiff. The cameraman yelled anxiously, "Lily! Run!" But I still didn't move. And the girl in red suddenly let out a loud roar and lunged at me. Michael and the others screamed in terror, but I remained unfazed. I just suddenly looked up at the girl in red and said coldly, "You've got some nerve." At the same time, ghostly energy poured out from around me. Michael and the other mortals naturally couldn't feel my ghostly energy. So they only saw the girl in red suddenly freeze. The next second, a shocking scene unfolded before them. The girl in red suddenly thumped and knelt directly in front of me. Then, she started kowtowing repeatedly, shouting at me, "My lady! It was my fault for not recognizing your esteemed presence. Please, be the bigger person and don't hold it against me." Actually, vengeful spirits formed after death often act more on instinct and resentment. So sometimes they're a bit like animals, with a strong survival instinct. When they sense a presence with stronger ghostly energy than their own, they immediately submit. This was the case with the red-clothed female ghost in front of us. When she first saw us come in, she thought we were just a bunch of mortals, so she materialized to scare us and then absorb our yang energy. But she didn't expect me to suddenly release my ghostly energy. Only then did she realize she had run into someone powerful, and immediately begged for mercy. But the other guests didn't know about this. They were just shocked by what they were seeing. The terrifying atmosphere instantly dissipated. Olivia couldn't help but ask, "So, was this arranged by the production team?" Because of the red-clothed girls kneeling, it was now clear that no one thought she was a ghost anymore. They naturally assumed it was an act staged by the production team. The girl in red was furious at this. She lifted her head, glared at Olivia and the others beside her, and roared, "Are you looking to die?" Clearly, this red-clothed girl's deference was only for me, the daughter of the Ghost King. Towards Olivia and the other ordinary people, she was still that terrifying, malevolent spirit. Her ghostly shriek stirred up a sinister wind, blowing her hair back to reveal her blood-red eyes and pale face, scaring Olivia's group so badly they nearly fainted. They immediately understood. This wasn't some act by the production team. This was a real ghost. Their expressions towards me also became tinged with awe. Meanwhile, I calmly said to the red-clothed female ghost, "All right, stop scaring people. Tell me, what is your grievance?" As the daughter of the Ghost King, helping wandering vengeful spirits return to the underworld sooner was part of my training. That's why I asked the red-clothed female ghost this one extra question. But the red-clothed female ghost remained silent. I didn't press further. Instead, using my ghost eyes, I understood the cause and course of events. It turned out this girl had been assaulted by several teachers at the school. She became pregnant, but her classmates assumed she was promiscuous. She asked her family for help, but they didn't believe teachers could be like that. They were certain she had gotten involved with some unsavory boyfriend. Her mother even scolded her. "If you didn't always wear makeup and dress up, why would something like this happen to you?" Society is often like this. It always feels like the girl did something wrong to become a victim. In despair, the girl chose to jump off a building and commit suicide. But the resentment in her heart couldn't dissipate, so she lingered here with the child in her belly. And the little ghost I saw on the Taoist priest's shoulder at the entrance was her child. I sighed softly. "You are also a pitiful person." I said faintly, "I will help you and your child pass on." The girl suddenly looked up, seemingly wanting to say something, her heart unwilling. I had already guessed what she wanted to say and nodded. "Rest assured, evil will be met with evil. I won't let the people who harmed you get away with it." Only then did the blood red in the girl's eyes fade a little. At the same time, I began the ritual to help her pass on. With my level of cultivation, helping a vengeful spirit pass on didn't require a grand setup like those Taoist priests at the entrance. I just took out the lipstick from my pocket and casually drew some talismans around, which was enough. The ritual began quickly. The cameraman from the production team next to me seemed to have finally snapped out of it. He secretly picked up his camera, turned it back on, and resumed the live stream. I naturally noticed his actions. But I couldn't be bothered and just continued the ritual. And so, the audience in the live stream room, who had been eagerly waiting, finally saw the stream resume, only to see me with my eyes closed, muttering incantations. The live comments were instantly flooded with question marks. What's happening? Am I seeing things? Lily looks like she's performing a ritual to help a soul pass on. Hasn't this attention-seeking actress had enough? Clinging to Olivia's fame wasn't enough, now she's trying to create some kind of mystic persona. I've been waiting in this live stream for so long to see paranormal stuff, and you show me this fraud of an actress? Who are you trying to fool? I have to say, Lily's unlikable image was really deeply ingrained. So no one believed I was actually helping a vengeful spirit pass on. They all thought I was just creating a persona. I, however, couldn't be bothered and just finished the ritual. All right. I spoke faintly, then looked at the live camera and said calmly, Ethan, David, and Calvin, the 3 former teachers from the girls' high school, you were the ones who caused the death of an innocent young girl. I hope the police will investigate thoroughly, not just for this deceased girl, but also for many other victims who dare not speak out, and more importantly, to prevent future innocent girls from being harmed. After saying this, I didn't bother with any more nonsense and left the classroom without looking back. Spirits around you quickly trended online, along with my name. At first, netizens were all cursing me for faking spiritual powers, but unexpectedly, several guests from the show posted on social media in my defense. Show director, Lily is a very capable young woman. Thanks to her, we all made it out safely this time. Anna, Lily is the person I admire most. She's invincible. She's definitely not a fraud. These guest statements were heartfelt after all. After what happened at the school, they all realized I was extraordinary. When the director added me, he even called me master. Netizens were dumbfounded when they saw these posts. Some started to waver. Could it be that Lily actually has some skills? Otherwise, why would all the guests speak up for her? But many still didn't believe it. I'd say Lily must have latched onto some powerful figure. It wasn't enough for the production team to help her build this persona, even the guests are helping her. Just as everyone was doubting, Olivia spoke up. She posted a photo of a pearl necklace on social media. Bought a necklace, thought it was real deep-sea pearls at the time, but it turned out not to be. Indeed, fakes will never become real, no matter what others say. This post seemed unrelated to me, but it was clearly, albeit subtly, implying that I was a fake master. Netizens suddenly felt vindicated and started cursing me again. I told you Lily was just building a persona. See, Olivia exposed you directly. Our goddess Olivia is still the realist. She wouldn't be bought off to deceive the audience. Just as public opinion was starting to bash me again, a shocking reversal occurred. The police released a statement. They announced the capture of 3 unscrupulous teachers who had harmed innocent students. They were the exact 3 names I had mentioned on the live stream. At the same time, the mother of the girl who had committed suicide at that school over 20 years ago came forward. The old mother cried to the camera, saying, "Over 20 years ago, my daughter said she was being bullied by teachers. I didn't believe her at first. I didn't think teachers would do such a thing. But later, my daughter committed suicide. Only then did I regret it deeply, regret not believing my daughter. At the same time, I started trying to investigate which beastly teachers did this to my daughter. But I never found out. But I never expected that 20 years later, the police would finally find the villains who harmed my daughter. I want to thank Lily. It was her who identified these three villains. Otherwise, who knows how many more girls these villains would have harmed. Many anonymous parents of girls also came forward, saying their daughters had also been harmed by these three scumbags. Netizens were in an uproar. What's going on? I thought the three names Lily mentioned were just random names to show off. They're actually real people, and the real culprits who drove that suicidal girl to her death back then? So Lily really did communicate with that deceased girl? Otherwise, how would she know these three people's names? Oh my god, stop talking, I'm getting goosebumps. Excuse me, are the commenters above Lily's paid trolls? Is she addicted to creating this persona? She's an uneducated fraud, how could she have such abilities? Who's a paid troll? Please use your own logic. No one knew about what happened back then, but Lily did. If this isn't psychic ability, what is? Yeah, Lily must have real skills. On the other hand, Olivia, with her pearl necklace post, is just being passive-aggressive and manipulative. Exactly, I'd say anyone still bad-mouthing Lily now is probably an Olivia fan, right? Because of this follow-up, public opinion began to shift dramatically. Fewer and fewer people were criticizing me, and instead, more people started criticizing Olivia. Amidst a storm of curses and arguments, the show welcomed its second episode. When I arrived at the filming location for the second episode, I sensed a difference. Firstly, the production crew was much more respectful towards me. Also, I actually saw police officers. When they saw me, they quickly approached and got straight to the point. Ms. Lily, thank you for your help with the last case. Actually, after the first episode aired, the police had contacted me. I provided them with more details about the case. At first, they didn't believe me. But after investigating, they found out I was correct. So now, they looked at me with a hint of awe. Not only that, but they also told me why they were there. It turned out the second episode was related to a recent unsolved case. The victim in this case is also someone from your industry. The police officer explained, it's a young male entertainer who died in a villa resort a while ago, but the case has never been solved. So we wanted to ask for your help to take a look. From the descriptions given by the police and the director, I learned that today's filming location was at a wealthy businessman's vacation villa. Last month, he held a private party at the villa and invited some celebrities. However, a young male idol died at the party. The investigation concluded that the male idol had accidentally fallen to his death, but many strange things had happened in the villa. Bloody words appeared on the walls, and residents nearby heard crying sounds at night. The police also felt there were suspicious points in the case, which is why they wanted our help. More accurately, they wanted my help. The show quickly began recording. The moment I walked into the villa, I noticed something and frowned, looking at Michael beside me. Michael had lost all the liveliness he had in the first episode. He looked listless and kept glancing around nervously. And the production team was already eagerly trying to cue me. Lily, have you figured out how that male idol died? This time, because the environment wasn't as scary as the last one, the production team had to create their own highlights. And the biggest highlight of the show right now was the debate about whether I had real abilities. That's why the production team proactively asked me. But I just said lightly, I don't want to talk about it right now. As soon as I said that, the live comments immediately exploded. What do you mean you don't want to talk about it? I've been watching this live stream for so long, and you tell me you don't want to talk. Heh, I'd say she can't make it up anymore, right? Last time it was the production team setting up her persona, this time she can't hold it up. I thought Lily actually had psychic powers. Looking at her today, it seems like she's lying again. Facing the doubts in the live comments, I paid no attention and simply sat down on the sofa in the villa's living room, closing my eyes to rest. The production team was getting a little anxious and was about to urge me, but unexpectedly. Excuse me, a soft voice suddenly spoke up, how about I give it a try? Everyone turned their heads and saw Olivia. She smiled good-naturedly. I actually have a bit of psychic ability myself. I want to help this poor deceased person. I immediately understood. Olivia was planning to ask for help from her family's guardian spirit. Everyone's attention immediately shifted back to Olivia. The director's face lit up with joy. Olivia, you have psychic abilities too? Olivia smiled faintly. Yes, I do, but it will harm my body, so I usually don't use it. But this time. Olivia looked up, putting on a brave expression, but for this innocent deceased person, I am willing to sacrifice myself. I couldn't help but roll my eyes from the side. This Olivia was being way too dramatic. You see, asking a household deity for help doesn't cause any physical harm. But she insisted on making it sound like she was making a huge sacrifice, just to gain sympathy and support from the public. But people actually fell for it. The live comments were filled with things like "Ah, and the goddess is so great." Olivia didn't want to reveal the identity of her family's guardian spirit, so she said vaguely, "This spiritual process involves my personal privacy. Can we pause the live stream for a moment?" The production team was, of course, very willing to create such suspense. Therefore, the live stream was quickly paused. The live comments section was immediately filled with wails. "Ah, I really want to see the goddess's spiritual scene, why can't I see it, so sad. But it doesn't matter, knowing that our goddess Olivia is beautiful and kind-hearted is enough." As soon as the live stream paused, Olivia took out a jade pendant. This was the token between her and her family's guardian spirit. She was planning to summon the guardian spirit. I, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke coolly, "I advise you not to do that." Everyone's gaze then fell on me. Olivia frowned at me, then showed a helpless expression and said, "Lily, I know you're unhappy that I stole your spotlight. But you also know that we must be honest with the audience. It's meaningless for you to resort to deception." Olivia's words carried a lot of information. On one hand, she implied that I was able to identify the real culprit in the first episode through deception. On the other hand, she insinuated that I was trying to stop her out of jealousy. I simply ignored Olivia's passive-aggressive remarks and said lightly, "This murder case involves someone else's karma. If you summon your family's guardian spirit, you'll be letting it get involved in someone else's karma. This is harmful to its cultivation. Are you sure you want to do that? Spiritual energy in the world is weak these days, and it's not easy to cultivate into a spirit. That's why I said an extra word." But how could Olivia understand these principles? Even if she did, she might not care. She just continued talking to herself, "Lily, I can't let an innocent young man be wrongly accused because of your selfish desires. I'm sorry." With that, she directly clutched the jade pendant in her palm and began muttering incantations. Then, everyone clearly felt a strange wind begin to blow around them. The next moment, a window suddenly opened, and a sleek furred weasel gracefully leaped in from the window. The director immediately reacted and blurted out, "So you've invited a shaman." Since the director could helm a paranormal show, he had some knowledge of occult matters. Therefore, he recognized it immediately. By this time, the weasel had gracefully walked into the living room. At that moment, even those unfamiliar with the occult could see that this weasel was no ordinary creature. It walked on its hind legs, like a human, or more accurately, like an elegant lady. Olivia bowed respectfully to the weasel, briefly explained the situation, and then said, "Great Immortal, I'm afraid I'll have to trouble you this time." But the shaman didn't agree directly. It just narrowed its eyes, scanned the room, and said in a high-pitched voice, "I heard there's a little brat on your show who claims to have psychic abilities. I'd like to see who has the audacity to show off in front of your granny here." I immediately understood from the side. It seemed Olivia had called this shaman today not only to show off on the program but also to teach me a lesson. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but smile. Who was showing off? It wasn't certain yet. The people around were a little nervous because of the shaman's appearance, so it was very quiet. Thus, my laughter sounded particularly abrupt. Everyone's gaze immediately fell on me. The shaman narrowed its eyes and sneered. So you're that ignorant little brat? I'd like to see what skills you actually have. With that, it actually lunged at me with its claws. And I, in an instant, let my ghostly aura surge. Because I was currently using a mortal body, when my ghostly aura wasn't exposed, I looked like an ordinary person with no cultivation. This shaman clearly thought so originally. But as my ghostly aura surged, my undeniable power was instantly revealed. The shaman froze abruptly, fear flashing in its eyes. But the people around still hadn't realized what was going on. Especially Olivia, whose gloating was almost impossible to hide. She was still speaking in that manipulative, sweet tone. Lily, just hurry up and apologize to the great immortal. We all understand. After all, you're young, and it's normal to pretend you know things out of vanity. No one will. Olivia hadn't even finished her hypocritical words. A shocking scene occurred. The shaman, who had been so arrogant just a second ago, suddenly threw itself to the ground, performing an extreme version of a sliding kneel. At the same time, it started wailing and crying at the top of its lungs. My lady, I was wrong. It was my fault for being blind and offending you. Please, please forgive me. The entire villa fell into a strange, dead silence. Everyone was dumbfounded. Finally, the cameraman next to them muttered to himself. Why does this scene seem so familiar? Needless to say, he was thinking of the time at the school when that red-clothed female ghost had also kneeled and begged me for mercy like this. But the shaman before them was clearly more terrified. After all, its cultivation was weaker, and seeing me scared it even more. Olivia, on the other hand, was both shocked and angry, and couldn't help but shout, "Great immortal, what's wrong with you? Why are you being like this to a mere mortal like Lily?" Before Olivia could finish her sentence, the shaman shot her a fierce glare. Don't talk nonsense. How is this a mere mortal? She's a fairy from the ninth heaven. What in the world? The dignified daughter of the Ghost King, had somehow become a fairy. Olivia was also completely bewildered, watching the shaman kowtow to me. I ignored the shaman's fawning and just said lightly, "So, are we still handling this case?" At my reminder, everyone remembered that we were still filming a show. The director was the first to snap back to reality and quickly said, handle it, of course, we'll handle it." "Well, since we're going to handle it," I said calmly, "then I'll speed things up a bit." Everyone froze, not yet understanding what I meant by speed things up, when I raised my hand. In an instant, a cold, resentful aura rushed towards us, and the lights in the room suddenly went out. Then, a black shadow appeared and lunged directly at us, screaming. "You killed me. I want you to pay with your life." As the ghostly figure lunged, Olivia's face turned green with fear. She threw herself at the shaman. "Great immortal, protect me." I looked at her pathetic state and said coldly, "Don't worry, he won't hurt you. He's after Michael." When I said this, not only Olivia but everyone else was stunned. Then, everyone indeed heard Michael's miserable scream. "No! Don't come near me. I really didn't know you would die. Stay away from me." And the others around had indeed safely hidden themselves. In the darkness, Michael's voice sounded extremely pained. The director was terrified and quickly looked at me. "Lily, shouldn't we help?" But I remained expressionless. Evil reaps what it sows. What am I supposed to help with? Everyone was stunned. That's right. I had figured out what happened as soon as I entered the villa. But I didn't want to explain it clearly because I knew Michael was the enemy of the resentful ghost in this villa. I don't have the supreme compassion of those human Taoist priests and monks. I believe that evil will be met with evil. Since this vengeful spirit's enemy was right here, why should I interfere? Let him retaliate first, what's wrong with that? So I hadn't interfered until I heard Michael's voice gradually weaken. Only then did I finally speak. All right. As I spoke, I raised my hand, and the lights came on. Everyone finally saw Michael's condition clearly. He was covered in blood. And in front of him was a soul with delicate features, already materialized due to the intense resentful energy. It was clearly the idle boy who had passed away. The young man, stopped by me, looked up with resentment in his eyes and said, "He did this to me. Why can't I get revenge on him?" From the young man's words, everyone finally learned that it was Michael who had acted as a go-between and introduced him to a wealthy investor with abundant resources. The young man thought this introduction was a genuine one, but he didn't expect it to lead to his suffering. He finally couldn't bear it anymore and committed suicide in the investor's villa. So, he hated Michael that much. He wanted to kill Michael, become a vengeful spirit, and then go after that shameless investor. I had known this all along and just said lightly, but if you kill someone, you'll have to pay the price in hell. Is it worth it for these animals? The young man was taken aback, but his eyes still showed unwillingness. But am I supposed to just let them go? Human affairs will naturally have human order. I looked up at the police officers around, who were also stunned. I believe someone will bring you justice, right? Only then did those police officers snap back to reality and quickly say, "Of course, we will." Only then was the young man persuaded. Michael was sent to the hospital, but the young man's soul still hadn't gone to reincarnate. He was waiting for the fate of those scumbags. And he wasn't disappointed. The live stream resumed directly. Everyone saw Michael's miserable state, and with a few of us celebrities speaking out online, the matter completely blew up. No one could hide. Everything was thoroughly investigated. The wicked paid the price, and only then did the young man let go of his obsession and go to reincarnate. And at the same time, Olivia's fans online started to get smug. Our Olivia is truly amazing. She solved the problem as soon as she took action. Exactly, this is what you call real talent, completely different from those fakes. That's right. Because the live broadcast was interrupted for a while, Olivia's fans still thought that this second episode was so successful thanks to Olivia. They didn't forget to mock me in the process. But they didn't expect to be quickly proven wrong. The police officially released a message. "Thank you, Lily, for helping us solve the case." Not only the police, but the parents of the deceased young man, the director of the show, and other celebrities all publicly praised me by name. No one mentioned Olivia even once. Finally, the production team simply released an edited version of the show. Everything was crystal clear. Olivia tried to show off and failed in the end. It was all thanks to me. Everyone was shocked. Olivia's fans refused to believe it, insisting that I was just creating a persona. But the police had come forward, so how could it be a persona? Everyone believed in my abilities, and my popularity began to skyrocket. Meanwhile, Olivia's situation was disastrous. Because at the end of the recording of the second episode, I said something to that shaman. "Want me to give you some pointers on your cultivation?" The shaman's eyes instantly lit up, and it nodded desperately. I could tell that its cultivation had been stuck at a bottleneck for a long time, and it urgently needed guidance from an expert. I smiled faintly. "I can help you, but you can no longer help Olivia's family." "Sorry. I'm just that petty." Although I didn't take Olivia seriously, she kept provoking me repeatedly. I had to teach her a lesson. The shaman immediately agreed. After all, it initially became the Liu family's guardian spirit to repay a debt of gratitude, but that debt had long been repaid. Now, it was merely coveting the Liu family's offerings. But those offerings were nothing compared to my guidance. The shaman immediately abandoned Olivia. Olivia's luck also changed drastically. More and more negative stories about her were dug up, and many people began to question her acting skills and talent. Her agency's exploitative practices were also exposed. She completely flopped. And I, on the other hand, became more and more popular. A few years later, I successfully completed my training and returned to the underworld. Back in the underworld, my father, the Ghost King, asked me, "Daughter, how did it feel to be a human celebrity?" I smiled faintly. "Not bad.